My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising. Alright, ghouls and gals, like all my new movie reviews, I'm going to keep it short, sweet, simple, and to the motherfucking point. Alright, ghouls and gals, let's get it started. For those of you that aren't aware of My Hero Academia, My Hero Academia is a manga slash anime that appears on Funimation. Well, the anime appears on Funimation, and the manga appears on Shoujin Jump, a weekly magazine that features a whole bunch of other mangas. And essentially, My Hero Academia follows a group of teenagers who all have quirks or superpowers as they kind of explore how they're going to use these quirks and what kind of a hero they're going to grow up to become.
Hey, hey, let's go. Protect my balls.
And they all go to UA High School, which is a hero high school that helps kind of mold all these heroes and stuff. And while they're going through all this journey of like growing up and exploring themselves and their powers and whatnot, there's the evil league of villains that are kind of like doing bad shit. You know, it's kind of like your typical like 1950s comic book stuff, but like anime form. And it quickly became one of my favorite new animes because it's quirky, pun intended.
Boo this man!
And fun, and I love superheroes and I love anime, and this perfectly combines the two of them together, such as like animes like One Piece. Not One Piece, I fucking hate One Piece. I'm sorry, One Piece fans, I don't like One Piece. It's basically filler, the anime. Send your hate in the comments, I'm sorry, I don't like it. The anime I meant to say was One Punch Man. It reminds me a lot of One Punch Man as it's superheroes meets anime. And My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, it embraces all of that. It gives you the characters you love. It doesn't leave anybody out. Pretty much every single person that's in the anime comes out in the movie. Everybody gets like a little part, and it embraces all of that fun, cool stuff, and all of the emotional beats that the anime series does. This film replicates that perfectly, all while being beautifully animated and showing off some impressive action scenes. It's there. I mean, if you're a fan of My Hero Academia, you're gonna like Heroes Rising. You're gonna like it because I'm a relatively new fan to My Hero, and I really enjoyed this for what it was. But there is some things that I didn't like about the film. I mean, it's kind of my usual gripes with all anime films. Is this film, as well as a lot of other anime films, is pretty much filler. Like all the villains they introduced in this film that aren't already in the regular anime series, we're never going to see them again. And all these plot details and all these plot points that the film brings up, they're never going to get brought up again. This
He's right, you know.
movie, as well as other anime movies, are just essentially plot filler. I mean, they're fun filler, they're cool, fun, awesomely animated filler with some cool action scenes, but it's filler nonetheless, because none of it really matters in the end. I mean, for those of you that have already watched Heroes Rising, you know exactly what I mean, because the movie kind of does this thing where it's like, everything that happened didn't really happen, and it didn't really matter. So it's kind of like, okay. I mean, it's kind of a little disheartening that none of this really matters.
And nothing else matters.
But then it's also kind of cool because it's a self-contained story and you don't have to worry about what's going to happen after this or what happened before this. This is kind of like just before, not before anything important, not after anything important. This is sort of just like a day in the life of these people. This just happened as they were doing something else. Another negative thing that I don't like about this film is that the film kind of comes up with these rules, especially when talking about its main villain, Nine. Nine is the main villain for this film. Nine is a character who has the ability or the quirk to kind of suck other people's quirks. He can only do 9 of them, hence the name Nine. But he also has a very huge weakness that this film puts a ginormous spotlight on. He is like, his cells are deteriorating at a very fast rate, and the longer he uses all of those quirks, the faster his cells deteriorate, which leads him to like basically go to the verge of death, and he gets like weak and he can't fight. And for instance, this is kind of spoilers, but at this point I think everybody that's wanted to see this movie or was going to see this movie has already seen this movie. There's one moment where he uses this lightning quirk or weather controlling quirk that shoots a ginormous thunderbolt to kind of defeat Deku and Bakugo, and he does that, and he kind of basically like almost dies, and he goes into like a coma for a couple of hours, and he has to like recuperate. Only until the final battle, the movie decides, fuck that thing that we said that was a rule where 9 can only do so much until he gets tired. At the end of the movie, in the final battle, they forget that rule because it's the final battle, and they kind of more or less don't care because they're like, they already forgot about that rule. They're just too like tunnel visioned on the action, which I was for a moment. Like, I almost forgot that they established that this character has specific weaknesses, and only for them to forget said weaknesses, I was kind of like, that sucks. But then again, that last action sequence was pretty fucking cool, and I may forgive it for that, but it's a glaring plot hole. Another thing is, this film, you can tell, especially in that last action scene with Deku, 9, and Bakugo, it is heavily influenced by Dragon Ball Z. In this movie in particular, Deku is basically like Gohan / Goku, and fucking Bakugo is basically fucking Vegeta. These characters are your textbook anime rivals, and at one point they basically both turn Super Saiyan in an attempt to defeat 9, and I was kind of like, hey, don't get me wrong, that's really fucking cool, but your Dragon Ball Z is showing so fucking hard. Like, I get being inspired by something, but straight up copying something is some murky water, some gray area. And I'm not saying My Hero is the only anime to ever copy Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z has been around for decades, and it's inspired a bunch of other animes, but this one is the most blatant that I've seen in recent history. But aside from those two major things that I didn't like, this film was fun, and it was a great anime film. I really enjoyed it. It's fun. It stays true to the spirit of My Hero, and again, like I said a couple of times, it's impressively animated. Especially that final fight scene, it is animated so perfectly, and I was just like astonished by how beautifully animated this film was. So in summary, My Hero: Hero Rising is a really fun anime film that fans of My Hero will enjoy, and if you're not a fan of My Hero, you're probably not gonna fucking watch this anyway, so I'm not talking to you guys, I'm talking to my fellow weebos, my fellow fucking anime geeks. So if you haven't already seen this movie, go out and see this movie. I give it a 7 out of 10, and plus ultra, go beyond.